Okay, this is the emergency, yet another cancelled snow day at school lecture for Western Civ 2. I'm going to finish the French Revolution. I'm going to go quite quickly, just get through it, the material for you. I will attach the pertinent PowerPoint slides and review this before we get back from break, and we can move forward. I'll try and do this thoroughly but quickly. Right, so we're on the revolution. If you recall, it all started with the Enlightenment idea of liberty and equality. The Americans, perhaps the first who put this fully into account with their revolution, resulting in a republic in which there is no king, no nobility, and no privileges for church or clergy, and a government that promotes the common welfare of the people through rule of law. And of course the French, with their crisis of the 1780s, which bumbles into a revolution, right, as there's the standoff between the Third Estate and the King and the First and Second Estates, and that when we get the storming of the Bastille in 1789, what had been a standoff turns into a full-blown revolution. And of course the March on Versailles later that year in October, where the women force things to move forward, which they do, and with the National Assembly we have the Declaration of the Rights of Man and a constitutional monarchy. But as you recall, 1792, the king had attempted to flee to his brother-in-law in the Holy Roman Empire in order to restore his power and try and fix the kingdom himself. That fails with his capture and accusation and charges of treason, found guilty and beheaded. And we now have the radical phase of the revolution, in which we have a republic, the war, as the Holy Roman Empire and Prussia declare war on France to try and destroy this dangerous revolution. And to save the revolution, to save the republic, we get the extraordinary measure of course, universal conscription, the draft, which is only able to be done because you give universal suffrage to all men. Therefore, all men are citizens, and therefore all men are obliged to defend the state. So a republic that is taking radical means to defend itself. And as I mentioned, with the noble class eliminated, either retired or detitled or in exile, we have a new officer class, often middle class, who are by merit. So we have a powerful army that is growing and a people determined to defend their republic. While the army attempts to build itself up and defend itself from the external threat, the republic is going to defend itself from internal dangers, people who want to bring a king back, royalists and others. So this takes us to the first slide of our collection, which is called The Terror. In order to make sure that everybody is supporting the revolution and not trying to stop it, is committees on public safety are put into office in towns across France, all run by the Committee on Public Safety in Paris. Robespierre is in charge of the committee, and therefore of all the other committees in France. A very ardent revolutionary and defender of the Republic is Robespierre. He is determined to ensure that the Republic will not be destroyed from inside. Much of it is through ensuring everybody shows their patriotism. You must be singing the correct patriotic songs, wearing the three-color, the red, white and blue symbols. cursing the king and saluting the republic, showing good patriotic behavior. The men joining the army when called up, the women supporting when possible. So showing one's patriotism publicly. And anybody who fails to show that patriotism or shows their support for the king and their criticism of the republic could be considered a threat to public safety and therefore charged in court. The problem with that is this escalates. People turn on their neighbors. Think it may not even be true accusations. You just don't like your neighbor. Hey, you accuse them of being a royalist, of being pro-king, anti-republican. They get in trouble with the Committee on Public Safety. And these trials become really out of control because they are so paranoid. With these powerful countries wanting to destroy the Republic, and with many people in France still uncertain as to whether the Republic works. Great fear. And so it's very easy for these committees on public safety to go over the top. When in doubt, let's deal with the threat. After all, being a republic, being a democracy in a sense, any threat to the republic makes someone an enemy of the people. It's what this idea of the people, the majority will, goes, is something actually ironically in America they had warned against. That's why I have these separations of power and rule of law through the Constitution, is what the Americans call the tyranny of the majority. You get the people saying, this is what we, the majority, want, and if you're against it, you're against the people, and therefore we can do things to you. In France, they didn't set up that protection. It's like the committees of public safety represent the will of the people. You're against the people, you are against France. What starts out as punishments become ultimately, as the wars continue, into death penalties. And so many people, nobles, or former nobles, clergy, royalists, and just people who get in trouble with the committees, are put to death. And that's a lot of people. And so they come up with this efficient system, a machine called the guillotine. You see the picture of one on our slide. Nice efficient way in which you just put someone's head in a structure. There's the structure, you lie the person down, and there's this blade that just chop. Much more efficient and speedy than having someone doing it manually. Modernity, efficiency, right? So the guillotine set up in town squares across France, run by these committees on public safety. You're against France, you're against the people, to the guillotine with you. Huge crowds cheering as when people are put to death and the executioner holds up the head of the dead person and says, "Behold the head of a traitor." Terrifying, terrifying. Hence the terror. You really have to show your patriotism or you're dead. It's terrifying. Hundreds, thousands of people are killed. And this is happening in 1792, 1793, on into 4 as it just gets worse and worse as the wars continue and people are more fearful. By 1795, it's starting to eat itself. The committees on public safety are even looking at important people in the Republic, military officers or politicians or others who don't seem to be going the right path. Robespierre is getting too much power. Too much power. Too much in his head. I am the only one who can defend the revolution. So, 1795, they're even attacking politicians to have them arrested, which terrifies the National Assembly. They're the government of France, and here's Robespierre sort of wielding greater power over them, taking some to the guillotine. So eventually, the National Assembly direct an arrest warrant to Robespierre and have him arrested for treason, for killing members of the National Assembly, and he is found guilty of treason and he is put to the guillotine. With Robespierre dead, the head of the committee is cut off, literally. Yeah. And the committees are disbanded, the terror is ended. Has it worked? Well, I suppose. Everybody's terrified. But most people support the revolution. What's gone wrong with the terror, besides killing thousands of people, is it's making more and more countries in Europe terrified of this revolution. Already you had Prussia and the Holy Roman Empire at war, wanting to destroy the revolution, but as the revolution turns into the terror and there's people being put to death by the hundreds, other countries say, we've got to stop this. This is not just a political revolution, this is a horrible. If this expands across Europe and the mob put up their guillotines all over Europe, no. So one by one, Spain, Britain, and the Netherlands also declare war on France. Spain, Britain, Netherlands. So that's 5 countries now, right? We had Prussia and the Holy Roman Empire to start with, and now we have Spain, Britain, and Netherlands. 5 on 1. So if you think about it, with more countries declaring war on France, that's making France more paranoid that the revolution is going to fail. So that makes the terror even more intense, which makes even more countries join against them. So it's this horrible cycle. However, the mass armies of France, these conscript armies led by these excellent officers, are able to hold off their enemies. Their enemies are not well organized, not united. They all fight their own separate wars, and the French, with this revolutionary army, is able to hold them off. Okay, but 1795, we've ended the terror. So let's go to the next slide and look at the reactionary phase, the final phase of the revolution, 1795.